I'm John Batchelor. Thaddeus McCotter of WJR is here with me in studio, and Gordon Chang is traveling. He's on the road. Gordon's got a new piece up at Forbes.com identifying that the People's Republic of China, which is a communist dictatorship, I remind all of you very good capitalists, a communist dictatorship that does not truck with competition, especially when its profits are down and its expectations are grim towards the future. There's a consolidation going on around the Standing Committee and around Xi Jinping. In addition, there's evidence, and Gordon's new piece up, is that the party has decided that it will now persecute Americans and other outsiders in competition for business and profit. Gordon, you write of Qualcomm. What do we know?
Well, Qualcomm certainly is one of the world's most technologically advanced companies. You know, if you have a smartphone, it certainly has a payment to Qualcomm because they make the chips or they have the patents on it. And China is attacking Qualcomm. The National Development and Reform Commission has an anti-monopoly investigation, and it appears that they're now in the fine phase. In other words, they're calculating the fine, which could well be $1.2 billion. Clearly, Qualcomm hasn't done anything really wrong, except that it's foreign, it's American, and they're attacking American technology companies. This has really been a theme as we've seen them go after IBM, Cisco, and Microsoft.
Microsoft. The headline I have up, this is USA Today within these last hours. Government investigators visited Microsoft offices in 4 Chinese cities Monday, according to a spokeswoman. Microsoft has been under fire from Chinese media for its perceived role in helping U.S. government conduct cyber hacking. Gordon, is this a shakedown?
It certainly is a shakedown. What they're trying to do is, first of all, reduce the amount of payments that are made to foreign companies, basically to injure them, to make sure that Chinese companies take their place. We saw this in 2010 with Google, and clearly they're now going after other companies as well. This is a concerted campaign, and it's also occurring in a larger context where they're going after foreign companies of all sorts, not just technology ones. Last July, the National Development and Reform Commission corralled a lot of multinationals in a room and demanded that they confess to anti-monopoly rules. Clearly, what's going on here is a concerted attack against foreign business in order to help Chinese companies.
Gordon, it's Thaddeus. A quick comment, because I'm a Michigander who was born in Detroit, and then a question for you. The comment is, when the communist Chinese came in to enervate and gut American manufacturing, a lot of these companies didn't seem to think it would ever be their problem, but that doesn't seem to be the case anymore. The question for you is, you talked about how technologically advanced Qualcomm was. There's the patents that are out there. It seems to me to be a question of this. Communist countries are not very good at having creative outlets for their economics. They don't make things. They either steal or take things. And what you're seeing is this attack on these communication companies because they can no longer try to covertly steal it. They can no longer covertly try to manufacture it at home. Is this an attempt to actually slow down not just the technologies, but actually get their hands on, or at least a cut of the payment that's due to the people who actually created it and spread it throughout the world?
Yeah, I think that's absolutely right, Thaddeus, because right now China is rolling out its 4G mobile network, and clearly Qualcomm would be entitled to very substantial payments from Chinese handset manufacturers. What they're trying to do is reduce the payment flow to Qualcomm, and you know what they would like to do is they'd like to set up their own standard for mobile communications. They tried that a few years ago. It didn't work, and now what they're trying to do is really cut Qualcomm down to size. And essentially, if they do this, if they're successful, Qualcomm will not have a growth model anymore, because what we're going to see is not only China, but other countries do the same thing. You know, China cannot really create great technology, except in the labs of foreign tech companies, where some of it's happening, but that's because the companies are foreign, not because they're Chinese. And that is really a problem for Beijing. As you point out, they cannot really create, so what they're trying to do is destroy.
Gordon, quickly, we've talked about Xi Jinping's anti-corruption campaign being whimsical. In other words, he's playing favorites and he's persecuting anybody who's not in his camp. Is there evidence of the same thing with these shakedowns of technology companies? He's going after people who are not on his team or do not use his players.
Well, I think what they're doing here is really going after foreign companies because they're considered to not be China's players, and that really is the issue. This is anti-foreign at its core.
So he's not putting his own men in Microsoft in Beijing or in Shanghai. He's not saying you can stay if you take my guy.
No, he hasn't gotten to that point yet, but we shouldn't put that patent beyond him because he really is doing a lot of things that no one thought that he would do. So we've got a guy who really has great ambitions, and we have to be very concerned about him.
And any notice of this in Washington? Our trade representative, some representative of the Commerce Department citing this persecution? Anybody bringing it up?
Not in public. I think in private there are discussions with the Chinese, but they certainly are not being effective because this anti-foreign campaign has really gone into high gear now for more than a year, and we've seen these rules that are directed against foreigners since about 2010, 2011. So what we've been doing, it ain't enough.
30 seconds, Thaddeus.
Gordon, I think you've sadly just added one more crisis to John Batchelor's growing list.
Yes, I'm compiling a collection, Gordon.
International economic anarchy.
Chaos. No one engaged. No one home. It's summertime on vacation, except for China's always working. Gordon Chang of Forbes.com traveling. Thaddeus McCotter of WJR also traveling, but he's here with me in studio in New York. I'm John Batchelor.